Let's talk about how to define these curls for a protective style that can last for days and days and kind of develops as it goes. Today we're going to be doing comb twists or comb curls. We're going to be using a rat tail comb, or this is technically a pintail comb. I like to use a highlighting comb to help define those curls, which is going to reduce frizz, help define the curls. It's going to allow the guest for something that she can wear for days, that she can comb out for more volume, that she can leave together for a sleeker look. But even when we're doing the comb curls, I can create volume or reduce the volume in parts of the style where I want to. For instance, on this side, because she parts her hair on the side, she has a little less hair. I may want to create a little bit more volume, especially up on the top here. And here I may want to combat some of the volume. Or I may just want to get the whole thing as big as I want. I can actually make the hair sit closer to the head or further away with the same technique, depending on how I do my comb twists or comb curls. So I've already distributed the product. Her hair is very damp. Let's make sure of it. And we're going to divide this into easily workable subsections. So your standard kind of 4 quadrants will work well. We'll want to divide them to upper and lower parts as well in the back. But something to know about how large do I take my first comb twist. You really want to separate and hold all the hair that you're not working on. So I'm going to start here in the front, and I'm going to start here on the first subsection, and I want to keep the rest away. How do I know how big that subsection should be? There's a couple indicators. Number one, look at the size of the curl. That bend, that C-shaped bend right there, that's half of a curl. An S shape is the whole curl. The curls tend to clump together in base sizes about the size of that C shape. That's pretty normal. That's not always the case, so that rule's always open to interpretation, but it really is a good place to start. The other way is to literally elevate the hair, blouse it or push it toward the scalp, and look where that hair wants to separate. And look at that. That's right about the size of that C shape. So the hair and the head will actually do a good job of telling you where it wants to be parted and what curls want to play together. So once again, if you have a spot that starts to dry out, you can always get your comb wet, redistribute that moisture, and that'll really help define those curls. Determine which way the curls want to go and what size sections they want to be in. If I just lift up like that, we can see pretty well how they kind of separate into little clumps. That's just them telling you who their clique is and who they want to be with. Make sure you get good tension at the scalp. I like to comb through once first just to make sure there's no tangles. Good tension at the scalp, release, and make sure that the hair goes around and is always going through the comb. Once it releases, you're going to see these nice little ribbon sections. If you have little sections like this that don't want to be either here or there, don't make them. Just let them play by themselves. That's what they want to do. So a little trick to make this easy on yourself is once I get here at the scalp, lift the tail, get that first spin over with, and then pull the tail opposite direction of the comb. So get in at the scalp, pull that around. When I'm doing this, that's going to make sure that I have good tension on the comb side and the tail of my section isn't flailing around. So wrap that around, lift it, and then I pull, and that's going to keep my sections nice and clean. So now I've got some nice little ribbony curls here. I can move on to my next section. blouse the hair toward the scalp. Let it pick its sections. This is where the spray bottle on the comb trick can come in real handy, because then I don't have to re-wet these curls. They're already setting. Elevate, let those curls choose the clubs they want to belong in, within reason. Careful not to pick up your previous section. Follow all the way through. It's super important to get that good tension at the scalp, and that's where pulling this tail around can really help. And then when I pull, I just move with it. Don't let it twist around too many times. And that's going to keep really good tension for all those little baby hairs. Now you'll notice that as I'm pulling and twisting, I'm going down toward the floor. That's going to keep my curls compact and closer to the head. What if I wanted to build volume? Like on my light side? Well, I've got two ways of building volume. The first part of that technique is that we're going to take slightly smaller sections. So I end up having more comb twist sections per square inch. So if normally I would have had like 5 subsections here, I'm going to take a slightly smaller one and I'll end up having 6 subsections through here. More curls means more volume. You're going to be limited a little bit by the density of the hair with that one. You can't just be twisting one hair at a time. You're not going to get the result that you want. So within reason, we'll make the sections smaller, but then rather than pulling downward like this, I'm going to pull upward like this. I'm building some volume at the scalp, and when I let go, you can see how springy that section is. However, on the very first section, don't do that. And why do I say don't do that on the very first section? Well, look at this. That was the one that I twisted down. This is the one that I twisted up. If I start by twisting the entire side up, this bottom part that makes the longest length of the cut, the perimeter, that's going to seem significantly shorter, and then I'm going to have a lopsided haircut. So whatever you do, make sure you style your right and your left side exactly the same way, so they end up falling to the same spot. Then I can start building volume after my first row. So my next one, that's where I can take a slightly smaller subsection and this applies to your horizontal sections as well as your vertical sections. If on the fuller side, I'm taking like 3 curls across this section, then on the side I want to make fuller, I might take 4 curls across this section. So not only a little skinnier this way, but a little skinnier this way too, if you can get away with it. So now is where I'm going to go elevate, twist, following through, and when I let go, boing. If you prefer just to use a cutting comb or styling comb for this part, you really can. Not holding onto the tail when I do that. I'm holding onto the comb part. So now you can see we're pretty much the same length on the side, but I'm building that body in at the roots as we go. Look how much fuller it is here as opposed to here. That way, when this side keeps going and automatically gets fuller, this side has some fullness to match. Now when it comes to curly bobs, if you take a look at this section back here, it's cut short enough that we have just one single curl. And I could come through and try to do a comb twist, but it's probably not going to be super successful. So here's what I want to do. If I were to take my comb and hold the spine of the comb flat to the scalp and comb it, that's going to make that hair kind of flip out and do that thing that not a lot of people like their hair to do. But if I comb with the teeth perpendicular to the scalp, not flat, but like this, and I'm going to comb like what some people would call a flat wrap. I'm going to go this way and this way. That's going to add a little bit of tension to those curls, which means it's going to take the smaller pieces and make them kind of join forces with the longer pieces, and look how those curls get defined. So I've got my whole section. Part with the very tip of the comb, hold on to the tail, and then start to twist. And you can do it all in one nice smooth motion. Just part, scoop, and twist and pull. Alright, and this way I'm scooping under, but if I want to part and scoop over, I can do that too. Just let that follow around. Also notice how I'm going upward with it. To build that body in it.